So good day everybody. I am James Wood with Metre Design+Build. We're going to show you, or I'm going to show you today, how to do a simple drywall repair. I know sometimes these things seem like they're harder than what they really are, but after we get done today, you'll say to yourself really easy. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the products that are out there and the tools that you need to make a simple drywall repair. First, we have a small little 2-inch wide knife. I use this for mixing drywall mud or scooping it out of the bucket. The second knife is a 5-inch knife. I like using this because it obviously gives me a broader coverage with that knife. Then we have a 10-inch knife, which you'll see once I get to the board what this is used for. Then you have the 12-inch knife. These are products that aren't that expensive. You can get the same tools at Home Depot or Lowe's that are plastic. They're a little bit less expensive. They're not as expensive as this, especially if you're doing a 1 or 2 time drywall repair. You might want to go that route so you're not spending so much. The next thing that you have for products in order to do the drywall repair is a roll of tape. They do sell this in a smaller roll. You will need a drywall knife, a razor knife, which most of you probably do have somewhere in the toolbox. This is a heat gun. Could be substituted with the wife's dryer or his dryer, or whoever uses a dryer at their house. Not a necessary thing, but if you want to speed the job up, this will work, or a dryer will work. So we have different products. This is called Easy Sand 20. It is exactly what it means, that you mix this product, it comes dry, then you apply water to it. I will show you how to do that. And it dries in 20 minutes by itself under normal conditions in a temperature room between 72 and 76 degrees. It should dry in 20 minutes. That does depend on how much water you do add to it. If less water, it dries faster, more water takes longer. They have a product too that's called Easy Sand 5. So this dries really quick. This is a 5-minute mud. So if you want to apply this and you want to be really done really fast and show your wife, your husband, or whoever that you're a hero, this stuff really fast, 5 minutes. Then this is the all-purpose mud. This is the standard mud that you see drywall finishers use, that we use on all of our homes. It comes in green top and blue top. The blue top in the bigger 5-gallon buckets is the product that they say doesn't dust up as much when you sand it. When you sand it, you have to wash that product because it will sand off a little bit easier than the green top. Most of us use the green top mud. It does come in these smaller jars or cans, and it also comes in a 5-gallon bucket. Hopefully you don't need that much. If you do, I think you'll be calling us to do the work for you. So today over here on my board, we're going to show you the simple drywall repair. So let's take for example that all of a sudden you come home one day, him or her, and your son or daughter playing around in the house has decided to put a little hole in your wall. Well, this is not something that, because the paper is broken, that you can just put drywall mud over top of and think that it's going to adhere and stay there. This is something that needs to be cut out in order for it to be done correctly. There are people that will try to go over it, but later on in time, because the paper is broke on this, it will pop. So what I'm going to show you is what we call in our industry is a blowout patch. Something I've been doing for many, many years. It's a great thing. These are only really recommended if you do a blowout patch on your walls. Do not do a blowout patch on your ceiling. So first thing I do is I have an extra piece of drywall. You can buy a sheet of drywall, then cut this off, or however you want to do it. You don't have to do any size, no measuring needed. You're just going to basically look at the size of the hole that you have cut here, or that's damaged, and cut a square block. So my first cut is just scoring it on the back side, breaking it, and cutting it down like this. So I have one piece. So after I do that, I score, looking at the size of what my damage is, I score down one side, score down the other side. Then I flip it, then I score down the other side, and the other side. Look at what you have. Before you do this, you can play tic-tac-toe if you want to. So all I do then, very gently, is just snap the paper. Then when you do that, you just peel really easy. See how you leave the paper on? Again, this side, peel the paper. Get that extra off. You want that to be as even as you can. You don't want this build up there that could hold you from going in there flush. Peel this side off. Then peel this side off. You have a patch. No tape required. So what this does, it stops you from needing to buy this. So this is a little bit big. You can see how big this is. About an inch or two, inch and a half, I would say. You can see what I've done here just off of eye. I've almost did that perfectly off of eye. This side's a little bit wider. So what I will do on this side is just cut that excess off. So I have a nice little patch. So once you have your patch made, you grab your pencil. Doesn't have to be level, doesn't have to be square. Just really simple. Take your block, your patch, put it over the hole. Scribe it with your pencil. And there's your square. Take your keyhole saw, that's what this is called, a keyhole saw or a drywall saw. Make your cuts. Make your hole. So after you make your hole, you take your piece and check and see if it fits. If it's a little tight like mine is, the easiest thing to do is just take your razor knife, just score it a little bit on the top and bottom, run your hands around there, and make sure that fits in there. There's your blowout patch. Okay, so what we did is I went ahead and showed you the 3 stages or the 4 stages of the blowout patch. Here's making the blowout patch. Here's the blowout patch with the first coat of mud. This is the tape coat. Here's the block coat. This is where it just has the second coat of mud on it. It's a little bit rougher, but not too rough. Then you can see this is my finished piece. So this is where your different knives come into play. So my smaller knife just puts the mud on here. I'll show you in a second. My second larger knife does the second coat. That's what I've done here. Then I use my 12-inch knife for this, so I get a nice wide swath on that drywall mud. And what that does, the wider the knife is, the more it allows you to float that drywall mud out, so you don't have a belly here with the drywall mud if you try to do it smaller. So you can see how nice, this is nicely sanded. It's smooth, it's ready for paint. So if you decide to go with either the easy sand or the 20-minute mud, you're just going to take it, drop whatever you think in your pan that you think you need. So I put in probably, for the first coat, just maybe a good handful is all I need for this, just to get this tape to stick. So it's nice to have an extra bucket to pour your water in a little bit at a time, not too much, because again, you don't want to make it too watery. I take my smaller knife in my pan and just mix slowly till I get the consistency about a little bit more, I'd say peanut butter, but maybe a little bit more liquefied than that, but around the peanut butter consistency is what you want. You just mix it up in your pan. right, there's my mud, it's mixed up. Nothing special. You can see that it droops a little bit, it'll come off the knife, but basically it's staying on my knife after I mix it. I don't recommend making a blowout patch any bigger than this. You don't want to take, you know, if you had between two studs and you have a hole got knocked out that big, you don't want to make a blowout patch for that because there's no stability behind there. The easiest way and a different way to do it, and I'll show you both ways, is find some, you know, leftover material. It could be something you could buy at Home Depot, again, a furring strip. This is just leftover base that I have from a job that I was carrying around. Of course, I'm cheating a little bit because I can get behind my sample board, but all you need to do, if you want to do it, it's a bigger piece and you need to have support behind it, is that, let's say that the wall, this is a wall, so I put a screw in the middle of the board, like that, so I can hold it, okay? This is a little bit long, but I put that in there. If I cut this off, it'd be shorter, but I'm gonna sneak it around here on the back side. So this is what I use to hold the wood while I take another screw and remember, when you screw into drywall, you don't want that screw to pierce the paper. You want that to be recessed, but you don't want it where it pierces the paper really bad, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So there's my one screw. Now that it's holding it, I just help to hold it again. And there's my other screw. So both these screws are recessed, and I'll show you, it doesn't take much to cover up these holes. See how the holes are covered up? That's perfect. But what I do want to show you is that anytime you do a nail pop repair, which I'm going to show you how to do that real quick, or you're doing this, you don't want that screw to go into the point where, I'll take a new screw and show you, that you're doing this to the paper, where you're going through the paper, because then it becomes a problem for, I see where I went too deep. You don't want to do that. You just want basically enough that the head's recessed and that you can get drywall mud over it. So now that we have our one block up, if two are needed, you do the same thing over again. Just repeat it again, take another block, put it on the other side, and there you have a nice back support. Then if you don't want to make the blowout patch and you just want to put a piece of drywall on there, you cut this off, put it in there, then you use the tape to tape it. I grab my larger knife, my 5-inch. All I do is give it enough mud that it stays on my pan, not too much, on my knife, not too much. Just an easy swipe there. You want to leave enough there that what this is doing is it's applying drywall mud that's allowing it to stick. It doesn't have to be pretty, just enough mud, make sure the back area is covered. So when you put the paper on, and you slide in your patch, then all you do, it's slid in, it's fitting perfect. Wipe your knife off. If you have a place where mud didn't get, just put some mud behind it. Just make sure it's in there, and there's your blowout patch. It's done. That's faster than doing this. If you need a piece of paper, and that stops you by doing a blowout patch, stops you from going to buy tape, then if you were using tape, you have to put a piece here, piece here, piece here, and piece here. This is something that all drywall people do with a smaller hole. I would say no bigger than probably an 8x8 or a 6x6. So what I'm going to show you here, this one's already done. So I'm going to take my bigger knife, my 10. Here's my 10-inch knife. Same mud. Might not have enough made up, but that's fine. Mud, 10-inch knife. See the reason why I'm using a 10-inch knife? You see how I covered it? in one swipe. I just go over it one more time. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You get it perfect on the next try. And remember, don't mess with it too much. The more you mess with it, the worse it gets. Just lay your knife on there at a nice 10 to 15 degree angle, have your mud on your knife, and just come across it once. There you go. Have a little line or two in it, don't worry about it. When you go to apply your next coat, your block coat, it'll cover that up. So here's the next stage right here, which is this dried, is this stage. So again, next thing I do is take the next knife up. And again, you don't have to buy all these different knives. You can buy one knife and use it. It just means that if you only have one knife, it just means that you're going to do one or two times, but this makes it easier. So I take my knife again, bigger knife. You see how wide that is? You see how much it covers now? I just come up one time. And there it is, it's done. My knife is, okay, it's finished. All you have to do now is wait for it to dry. Once that dries, you're at this stage, and this stage here is finished, ready to paint. This is what we use as a sanding block. I like using the ones that are beveled, especially if you have to, it's in the corner of a wall or something. It helps you get in there a little bit easier. And the sanding block is very easily. It's not, you shouldn't have to apply a lot of pressure to it. It's just nothing more than an up and down motion or back and forth motion. Most important, you want to feel around the edges. Make sure that the edges feel like they're feathered in really nice. You don't want to have a hump on these edges. And if they feel really nice and this is all smooth, then you're done with the sanding. And you have a complete, again, drywall patch that's been done, and you've done a great job with it. The last thing I'm going to show you today, this is a drywall pop or a nail pop that you have that just popped out. Whenever you have a nail pop, the last thing you don't want to do is drive it back in, because if it popped once, it's going to pop again. So you want to remove that nail. If it's a nail, most van meter homes, 90% of the time, we use screws everywhere, but they use a nail or two maybe just to hold the drywall in place till they get the screws in them. But we really don't have many nail pops in our houses. But if you do have a nail pop, pull the nail out, take a screw, replace the screw for the nail. Don't put it in the same hole. Put the screw above the nail, making sure you're hitting the stud. Then countersink the screw. Then the same thing what I just showed you over here. Just take a little bit of drywall mud, go over that screw head, and you're done. But do not leave that in there. So with that being said, then after you set the screw, again, take your mud, your smaller knife, and you just hit both of them. More likely for nail pops and doing this, you'll probably have to hit it twice, but sometimes you might be able to get away with once, but I would tell you more likely you have to hit that area twice. Then once it's dry the first time, hit it a second time, then it's easy light sand. Well, that ends it for today. That's our drywall repair patch. If you have any questions about drywall repairs or patching, or if it's something that's bigger than what you think you could handle, please don't hesitate to call our customer care department, and they will direct you to information on how to do it or the person that can help you to do it if you don't feel like doing it. Thank you.